Now let's look at some research that talks about how being difficult makes the guy try harder with you. They found that both men and women were more likely to want to pursue a potential partner who exhibited hard to get behavior, such as if there's one thing that increases your perceived mystery and your perceived attractiveness, studies show that being a challenge will literally change the way a man perceives you and the way a man behaves. So, and the reason why is because fundamentally, people place higher value and perceived attractiveness to whatever's hard to understand, to whatever is hard to attain. So whenever we meet somebody who is challenging to us, we allow ourselves to finally revel in mystery, to wonder, to think about what does this person feel about me, especially with online dating. When we match someone and that mystery of knowing whether or not they like us is stripped away, which is so important in the mating process. And this works even if you're in a relationship with a guy or even living together. Anyone can become a challenge to anyone. The key is one, to control your emotions, because that's the most important part, right? And two, to think about it a little bit more. Sometimes being a challenge is not about being difficult. It's not about being an asshole. It's not about none of that kind of stuff. It all comes down to your presence and absence and to the controlling of your emotions. So we're gonna talk about how to do that. You're gonna learn why being a challenge is so effective, how to challenge a man in a healthy way, and we're going to talk about the research behind being a challenge and why it has been scientifically proven that being a challenge increases your desirability and value as a mate. And we're going to talk about the mistakes that you do. So look, the first mistake is that you don't think you have to be a challenge. The first mistake is that you don't think that you have to do this. You have a philosophy in your mind that says, why do I have to be a challenge? Why do I have to do this? You resent that reality. The truth is that if you open your eyes, and I'm not saying that you're blind, but I'm just saying if you open your eyes and you look at the guys that you didn't like, you'll notice that without you even trying, you were more challenging to them. You'll notice that, and at the same time, you'll notice that those guys find you more attractive. Those guys do more for you. Why is that? Think about that. Why is that? Because you're being a challenge. You're not allowing him, you're not committing quickly. You're not expressing your emotions as much. You're more unavailable. Even if you're in a relationship with a guy, when you're starting to lose interest is when they start behaving more. Why is that? Let's explore that. Now, what tends to happen when you challenge a guy? A few things tends to happen. One, they try harder. By you being challenging, it also insinuates that other people are also vibing for your attention, right? So they just naturally try harder because you make it harder on them. So that means you're not available for them 24/7. That means you're not always gonna respond back on time. Now, I would prefer if you guys do this because you have a busy life. Please have a busy life. Don't just do this for manipulation. But we tend to see this because when you, like I said, when you don't like the person, you do this naturally, and they end up liking you because, and without you even knowing it, you're more of a challenge in those situations.
When you withdraw, make it subtle. You are instilling unease. Your coldness or distance should dawn on your targets when they are alone, in the form of a poisonous doubt creeping into their mind. Their paranoia will become self-generating. Your subtle step back will make them want to possess you, so they will willingly advance into your arms without being pushed. This is different from the strategy in which you are inflicting deep wounds, creating a pattern of pain and pleasure. There, the goal is to make your victims weak and dependent. Here, it is to make them active and aggressive. Which strategy you prefer to use, the two cannot be combined, depends on what you want and the proclivities of your victim. Each gender has its own seductive lures which come naturally to them. When you seem interested in someone but do not respond sexually, it's disturbing and presents a challenge. They will find a way to seduce you. To produce this effect, first reveal an interest in your targets through letters or subtle insinuation. But when you are in their presence, assume a kind of sexless neutrality. Be friendly, even warm, but no more. You are pushing them into arming themselves with the seductive charms that are natural to their sex. Exactly what you want.
That means that if a guy is canceling a date on you, for example, you say, okay, no problem. But now you're not available tomorrow, you're not available next week. You become a challenger. Now you're available 2 or 3 weeks from now. And in his mind, knowing how difficult it is to get in touch with you because he canceled and now you're only available 2 or 3 weeks from now, what do you think is gonna happen? He has 2 choices: to either wait, which is a sign that he's actually expending energy, which is a sign that he is willing to put in the work, willing to wait for you, or he doesn't like you enough to the point where he'll say, yo, what? Wait? Man, forget you, I'm leaving. I'm gonna find a girl who's willing to deal with my disrespect. And what happens is that whenever he finds that girl who's willing to deal with his disrespect, well, she's putting herself in a position where he doesn't respect her. What this man is looking for is a pushover. He's not really looking for a partner. And that's how you know, how? Through being a challenge. It's as simple as that. Now, the other one is that by you being a challenge, they make more time for you and they're not as vague with their timing. When somebody gives you vague times, almost like an abstraction where they say, I'll let you know, or I don't know, can I let you know later, or maybe, all of that is a sign that they're not that really interested. All of that is a sign that if you accept that uncertainty, and we've all made that mistake, Jesus Christ, I'm thinking about it right now, you're pretty much communicating, I'm not a challenge. Fuck that shit. If the guy says, I don't know, I'll let you know, you don't get angry. All you say is, you know what? Let's just do it another time when our schedules are more in line. And then you say, let me know when your schedule clears up. And the next time they hit you up, you don't, if they say it, okay, I think my schedule cleared up. You say, what do you mean you think? What do you mean you think? You just don't accept uncertainty. It's just that simple, people. You get what I'm saying? Now, the next one is that they will work harder for you. Why? Because they sense that you're willing to walk away. They sense that you are difficult to attain. You have a limited time. You don't have a lot of time for them. You have other things in your life that you like. You have emotional stability to be willing to handle the loss of losing them. All of those things causes a guy to be more consistent with you, causes them to be more on the straight and narrow, especially when you let them know that there are other people vying for your attention. And by doing that, you put them in a sexually competitive state where they'll begin to feel aggressive sexual desire for you, where they're trying to compete for your attention. And you could do it in the following way.
In the latter stages of the seduction, let your targets feel that you are becoming interested in another person. This is another form of taking a step back. There is no more powerful way to hint that you are losing your desire. Make your interest in another too obvious, though, and it could backfire. This isn't the situation in which you want to seem cruel. Doubt and anxiety are the effects you are after. Make your possible interest in another barely perceptible to the naked eye. Once someone has fallen for you, any physical absence will create unease. You are literally creating space. Your absences at this latter point of the seduction should seem at least somewhat justified. You are insinuating not a blatant brush-off, but a slight doubt. Perhaps you could have found some reason to stay. Perhaps you are losing interest. Perhaps there is someone else. In your absence, their appreciation of you will grow. They will forget your faults, forgive your sins. The moment you return, they will chase after you as you desire.
It's like people who make it to the Marines or people who make it through Hell Week, right? What they would tell you is that they value their belonging to the Marine Corps, to the Navy, all because they endured pain, all because they endured the challenge. The challenge makes you more valuable. So as a result, they're not gonna mess around and risk losing you by being uncertain or giving you vague times when they're available. And so what they do, because they know you're a challenge, what tends to happen is that men become more romantic. They start putting in more effort. They start thinking about how to impress you. They start thinking about how do I get her to like me more? All because you're being a challenge. And the other one is that they will respect you more. When a woman is not respected by a man, it just means you're too easy. It's that simple, man. It means you're too easy. It means they can say disrespectful things and you're still gonna be there. So that means you're not available for them 24/7. That means you're not always gonna respond back on time. Now, I would prefer if you guys do this because you have a busy life. Please have a busy life. Don't just do this for manipulation. But we tend to see this because when you, like I said, when you don't like the person, you do this naturally. And they end up liking you because, and without you even knowing it, you're more of a challenge in those situations. You see, even in college sororities and fraternities, I do not support hazing, but studies show that hazing creates more loyal members in a sorority or fraternity. And the reason why is that enduring hazing, enduring difficulties, enduring a challenge, something that's difficult to achieve, creates a sense of pride and accomplishments in those who are being hazed. That fraternity or that frat becomes a source of satisfaction and pride in those who make it through the hazing. And so to relate it to being a challenge, we're not hazing people, okay? Let's just get it out the way. We're not hazing people. We're just understanding the psychology of why hazing causes members of a fraternity or a frat to become more loyal members for most of their lives. It's because making it difficult to get into this club makes people more proud to be in that club. It makes people rationalize why they like being in that club, because what they think to themselves is that since they put so much work, there has to be a reason why this is so difficult to get in. So you backward rationalize that the reason why you are enduring this pain is because the level of pain equates to the level of high status in that group. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it's hard to achieve that if you meet them online. Because like I said, some of the mystery is already gone. It just is what it is. The only way for this to be at the most optimal is to meet them in a social situation where men are forced to behave, where men are forced to do more investigation whether or not you like them, where one little like doesn't blow the bubble of whether or not he likes you. You have to create that few days or even weeks of slowly them getting to know you through little conversations here, little conversations there, and then they begin to see that, hey, this girl likes me. But you can't do that if you meet them online, because online there's already almost like a date limit. He's like, okay, it's the third date, I want the pum pum already. But if you meet them through social situations, that line is more blurry. They have to wait longer. The main challenge is to get the fight in your terrain, and that terrain is in the social situations. Online benefits guys.
We all have limitations. Our energies and skills will take us only so far. Danger comes from trying to surpass our limits. Seduced by some glittering prize into overextending ourselves, we end up exhausted and vulnerable. You must know your limits and pick your battles carefully. Consider the hidden costs of a war. Time lost, political goodwill squandered, an embittered enemy bent on revenge. Sometimes it is better to wait, to undermine your enemies covertly rather than hitting them straight on. If battle cannot be avoided, get them to fight on your terms. Aim at their weaknesses, make the war expensive for them and cheap for you. Fighting with perfect economy, you can outlast even the most powerful foe.
So the level of difficulty it is to attain you as a woman, it actually, in a man's mind, it equates to how desirable you are to him. Now let's even look at video games. Because we're trying to understand the psychology of difficulty here, right? Studies show that playing a difficult video game that were challenging and required skills development were associated with increased feelings of competence, anatomy, relatedness, and enjoyment. Additionally, which is the crazy part, the study found that players who experienced failure or setbacks in the game were more likely to feel motivated to continue playing and to experience a sense of accomplishment when they finally succeeded. So even if you reject them, even if he feels like he messed up, even if he feels like you pushed him away a little bit, as long as you encourage him to chase, by being nice, by responding to him, that will motivate him even more, because he's like, oh my God, this girl's a challenge. But if you're in a scarcity mindset and you hear this, you're naturally gonna react with fear. You're naturally gonna say, oh my God, what if I lose him? That's just your scarcity mindset. Fuck that shit. Challenge it. Find out. If he's not willing to deal with one or two of your rejections, meaning he tries to kiss you and you say not yet, or he says let's hang out tomorrow, and it's your first date, and then maybe you something comes up which is natural, and rather than addressing the fact that you can't go, you force the situation. Sometimes you have to cancel, and if you don't like the guy, you end up canceling, and if you like the guy, you end up canceling on the important situation. Those things that are natural that come up, allow them to happen. Allow them to happen. Maybe you don't feel good and you don't want to go out, but because you like him, you still go out. Don't go. Make it a little difficult. This will only make him work harder. It's counterintuitive.
The feeling of emptiness or void, silence, isolation, non-engagement with others is for most people intolerable. As a human weakness, that fear offers fertile ground for a powerful strategy. Give your enemies no target to attack. Be dangerous but elusive and invisible. Then watch as they chase you into the void. This is the essence of guerrilla warfare. Instead of frontal battles, deliver irritating but damaging side attacks and pinprick bites. Frustrated at their inability to use their strength against your vaporous campaign, your opponents will grow irrational and exhausted. Make your guerrilla war part of a grand political cause, a people's war that crests in an irresistible revolution.
Why? Because it engages the brain more. It gets most of their brain involved in the video game. But when something is not challenging, and you look at a CAT scan of the brain, you notice the brain is not fully engaged. So what happens when you engage someone completely? Well, in the case of a video game, you end up enjoying the video game more. You almost end up getting in a flow state with the game, where your whole body and mind is in sync with it, because the level of challenge and your ability is at a right optimal range. It's not too easy, but not too challenging, right? Which is very important. And when I mean in this case, I mean you're a challenge, but not to the point where you're unattainable. It's the hope that keeps them engaged more. And you could do this in relationships or when you're getting to meet people. But in the case of a man perceiving you as a challenge and struggling to satisfy you by impressing you, what happens is that they end up falling in love with you faster. Now, the key is faster, because you can't be a challenge to a man who will never love you. Everyone that you meet will love you or will not love you. The seed of love is either there or it's not there. There's no middle ground in this, right? And this truth is expressed in my course, Natural Chemistry, where I talk about how to develop natural chemistry and how to tell if a guy has natural chemistry with you or not. I talk about that in that course in a lot more in depth. You can see the reviews right here. That course is more for women who are in relationships, or you can check out my course, The Psychological Game of Attraction, or Nice Girl, which are for women who are single, and Nice Girls for women who need to learn how to be more assertive, if that makes any sense. You can purchase those courses under the description down below. So when you become a challenge to a man who will potentially love you, they end up falling in love faster. But when you become a challenge to a man who will never love you, they end up either one, chasing, and once they attain you, they pull away, right? Once they attain you, they leave, or they don't even bother with you. And how do you know which one is in either group? By how they react to you. So understand that people associate high value to what's difficult to attain, to what's not there as often, especially to men who are considered high value in the world and other women want him. Those men will tell you that the women who they find most attractive are the women who they have to work for. For example, personally speaking, and this is only for the sake of the video, for me, it's not difficult for me to find a girl who finds me attractive. It really isn't, right? Because a lot of the times when I meet women that I find attractive, I'm out buying stuff, and sometimes they come up to me as I've gotten older. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's feminism, but women have become a little bit more direct, right? They've gone for it, right? And so, or I'm at a coffee shop and I see a girl smiling at me, and we end up chatting. those situations, I know they like me from the start. But you know which ones are the hardest ones for me to attain? Are the ones that at first was more difficult to gauge whether or not she liked me. And sometimes the easiest way to create that effect is to meet them at a setting where they'll know if they like you or not. I.e. not online dating, because when you meet them online, you already know they like you because you hear ding ding the match sound, right? So meeting guys in real life in normal situations, which is naturally a slower pace. We're not talking about the club, the bar, because you have to show them interest or because they're already coming to you directly. Meeting a guy in a setting where they passively show you they like you, it engages a guy more because guys are not patient. Guys don't like waiting. And so the mating process in a normal setting like school, work, and whatever is longer. As a result, it gets a guy to mentally engage more because they can't just speed up the process. They can't just get in your head and find out whether or not you like them. So that's one thing, right? Meeting them in normal life creates that effect. Now, what tends to happen when you meet them in those types of situations? One, the guys tend to respect you more. You know them from your social circle, right? Or you know their friends, so they behave a little bit more. And two, they have to be more romantic. When most guys will tell you this, I don't know the research, but whenever you meet a girl or a guy, as a girl, from a social setting where they know each other, or where I know you from school, or we both go to the same place, there is a pressure. I feel the pressure to actually be more romantic with her. Why? Because again, meeting women in real life they're more difficult to attain. It's more, you feel more pressure to behave yourself well. Now that we understand that, let's talk about some of the psychological principles of why being a challenge is so attractive to a man. Well, first of all, being easy to a man has some negative consequences. One, studies show, like the psychology of power and evil found that individuals who feel that they have power over others are more likely to engage in unethical behavior because they feel less accountable for their actions. This could easily suggest that men who are difficult to conquer may feel more powerful and therefore are more likely to behave unethically. For example, if somebody doesn't text you back, or they take a long time to text you, or they're acting distant with you and they're being a challenge, if you don't call them out on it or mirror their behavior, which causes them to fix their behavior or to leave.
The mirror reflects reality, but it is also the perfect tool for deception. When you mirror your enemies, doing exactly as they do, they cannot figure out your strategy. The mirror effect mocks and humiliates them, making them overreact. By holding up a mirror to their psyches, you seduce them with the illusion that you share their values. By holding up a mirror to their actions, you teach them a lesson. Few can resist the power of the mirror effect. Do what your enemies do, following their actions as best you can, and they cannot see what you are up to. They are blinded by your mirror. Their strategy for dealing with you depends on your reacting to them in a way characteristic of you. Neutralize it by playing a game of mimicry with them. The tactic has a mocking, even infuriating effect. Most of us remember the childhood experience of someone teasing us by repeating our words exactly. After a while, usually not long, we wanted to punch them in the face. Working more subtly as an adult, you can still unsettle your opponents this way. Shielding your own strategy with the mirror, you lay invisible traps or push your opponents into the trap they planned for you.
Which, fuck it, if they want to leave because you're marrying them in the beginning, then that's good riddance, right? Oh my God. By you doing that, you're signaling to him, you cannot act like you act with other women. You're either gonna act right around me or you can leave. What tends to happen is that they choose in that moment. And most likely, a lot of them, depending whether or not they have the seed of love for you inside of them, they'll either leave or they will start behaving well, right? You got to check them from the beginning. And that moral hypocrisy, they end up acting difficult with you, but whenever you try to act difficult with them, like hard to get, they end up calling you out on it. They end up getting mad. They end up saying, why are you acting this way? Why are you playing games? And the only reason why they feel that way is because they feel entitled to you, but they don't feel the same towards themselves. And the reason why is because they feel like they're doing you a favor while they're with you. And they're like, okay, I don't need to be with you. And so it's my way or the highway. And the reason why is because you're signaling to them that weakness. You're signaling to them that they could take advantage of you.
Instead of trying to avoid conflict or whining about the injustice of it all, consider an option developed over the centuries by military leaders and strategists to deal with violent and acquisitive neighbors: reverse intimidation. This art of deterrence rests on three basic facts about war and human nature. First, people are more likely to attack you if they see you as weak or vulnerable. Second, they cannot know for sure that you're weak. They depend on the signs you give out through your behavior, both present and past. Third, they are after easy victories, quick and bloodless. That is why they prey on the vulnerable and weak.
And so that naturally makes you look like you have no power, not over them, but just power in general. And when they feel like you lack the power, what tends to happen, they begin to feel entitled. And because they feel like that power disbalance, which is what happens when you're in a relationship where one has too much power over the other, they begin to abuse that power. And you confirm it by your reaction to them, by your unwillingness to walk away. Now let's look at some research that talks about how being difficult makes the guy try harder with you. They found that both men and women were more likely to want to pursue a potential partner who exhibited hard to get behavior, such as being non-responsive or appearing disinterested. The study also found that these behavior increased perception of the partner's attractiveness and desirability. Look, I wish it wasn't true, right? I personally wish it wasn't true. But if you really think about your life, if you really think about the people who you were attracted to, you saw this. Another study showed that playing hard to get increases the feeling of love and desire in both men and women, especially when the target of the affection was already interested. The study also found that this effect was stronger when the hard to get behavior was perceived as intentional rather than accidental. Now that fascinates me. I would tell you not to do that. I personally, in my opinion, I would tell you, don't make it look like it was intentional. And another study showed that individuals who interacted with a partner who was perceived as easy to get reported lower levels of desire compared to those who interacted with a partner who was perceived as hard to get. I can promise you, online dating will always make you easy to get. The study also found that the effect of hard to get behavior and desire was stronger for men than with women, which pretty much tells you that with men, this works even better with guys. It's a kryptonite. It's a kryptonite that we all have. And for me, reading this, in a way, it's kind of like I say to myself, I'm like, God damn. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, why is this true? But let's understand this. You don't have to manipulate. This is not about manipulation, people. This is about understanding human nature. And if you just understand the soul of why this works, you don't have to go balls deep, all Machiavellian on the guy, all Terminator and shit. No, you could just sprinkle it here and there. Or better yet, just live your life to the fullest. Have a life where you're not available all the time. It's not a manipulation. It's about being happy. My God, like for example, my life, when I'm in school, I'm from 8 to 5, I'm in school. From 5:30 to 7:30, I'm playing basketball. Then I go home, I cook something and eat. Now, how do I fit in going out with a girl that I like in between that, or spending time with her? I have to, it's a struggle, but I make the time. And that's the point. It's a struggle, but I make the time. And that struggle is natural. I don't stop doing the things that I value for her. I fit her in. And now over time, she becomes more valuable to me, and I start pushing things away for her. but that's over time, and that's a natural process. And that natural process of being over time actually makes her feel more valuable, because she feels like over time it progressed to us getting closer together naturally. She doesn't feel like I forced it. Now, a lot of people hear this and want to blame me why people are like this. I did not make people, okay? I did not make men. This is just how human nature is. So you might as well understand the soul of it and apply this into your dating life, or suffer the consequences. And at the end of the day, the real reason why a lot of people complain about this reality is because it hurts. It's not easy to apply. There's a lot of emotion, what can I say? There's a lot of emotional resistance to this. Why? Because we naturally feel insecure when we start not even pushing, but challenging the people who are trying to show us interest. Challenge them. How much do they really want it? The colleges don't make it easy for you to apply to their institutions, even though they're great. Why? Because they're valuable. Anything that's valuable is challenging. Anything that's not valuable is not challenging. People understand this, man. Like, it's not me promoting negativity here. It's just me promoting the reality. And anytime you're with someone that you value, one way or another, they were a challenge. And if you had them easily, you didn't appreciate them that much. And if you had them easily, most likely you deep down understood you beat other women or men for that person. So there's nothing wrong with creating a challenge. Men like that. We're problem-solving machines. You're not gonna go to hell. He's just gonna appreciate you even more for it, because you weren't that easy. And also, you raise his self-esteem because he feels like he wants something valuable, which is you. You are valuable. You do deserve to be fought for. You do deserve to die for. Well, maybe not die for, right? But you do deserve a guy to go crazy for you. And if you have a hard time applying these strategies, well, you have to learn to control the emotions. And I have a course specially made for that. Now, before we talk about it, don't forget, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're going to London for a seminar about charisma, and we're going all across the United States. You can see right here, we're having a seminar on how to increase your feminine energy. And if you guys want to work with me one-on-one, click on the description down below. And if you want to be able to apply these strategies, check out my course, Emotional Mastery. People, Emotional Mastery is out. This is my favorite course that I've created. It took me over 3 years. This course is everything that I teach. The mindfulness aspect of this channel, the most important aspect is, and if you are needy, if you're somebody who has an insecure attachment style, or an attachment style that sabotages your relationship, if you're unable to connect with people, if you have a lot of anxiety, because I also was a needy person. I also used to chase people when they used to pull away. If you're always baited into chasing when a guy pulls away and you cannot control that pattern, if your neediness always sabotages you, if you're too hard, emotionally too hard, or emotionally too soft, this course is the course for you. If you have a hard time applying the strategies that I teach, and you know what you have to do, but for some reason emotionally you can't, this course is specifically made for that. And the strategies that I've learned over the last 5 years are in this course. The basic package is a 5-week course. In each week, you're going to be able to join a WhatsApp group where you could contact me, and I'll help you out through the course, and you can ask me questions and I answer those questions on Zoom, or I'll make a video and add it to the course. But the point is, this course is specifically geared towards people who feel like they need to master their emotional life. So the basic package, as we can see here, this is all of the things we're going to learn on this course. And we have 3 packages. One, we have the basic package, which is $199. And the next package, $299, which is the bronze package, where so you get the 5-week course, you get the walking meditation, the compassion meditation, the breathing meditation. These are long meditation sessions that you guys can listen to. The what's next meditation, Jesus Christ, the teachings of the Buddha, which is pretty much a 4-week. It's not going to be 4 weeks, to be honest with you. We might extend it. We might make this course longer, like even a few months, to be honest with you. But for now, this is the course, 4-week series after the course that you get, where I will be teaching you guys straight from the teachings of the Buddha. It's like Bible class, people, because I was a Bible teacher before. Or you get the platinum package, where not only do you get all of those bonuses, but also you get a complimentary one-on-one call with me at half price, along with 3 bonus meditations on top of all of the ones that you have. The bronze package $299 and the platinum package at $399. So click on the description down below to purchase it right now, and I'll see you guys inside. I swear to God, if you do what this course says, neediness out the window. I am so sure you have a 14-day money back guarantee. Because if you don't like the first 2 classes, people, the first 2 classes are one of the biggest bangers in terms of like spiritual content that you'll ever see. I know that for sure. And if you don't like the first 2 classes, unfortunately, you're not gonna like the rest of the course. I'll give you your money back, no questions asked. Because if you like the first 2 classes, I know for sure everything else in that course is gonna be worth it, because they are the same quality and even better. I can promise you that, ladies and gentlemen. So click on the description down below where it says purchase emotional mastery, so that you can start with your first week and you can add yourself to the WhatsApp group, and I'll see you guys inside. I'm so excited for you.